Sorry, 3 minutes of intelligent conversation.
How's your brother going in his
He goes to New Zealand in September.
Oh, I thought it was like soon.
No.
Okay, focus also.
All right.
I just wanted to know.
So today we are doing effective interest rates, and in your book it's actually also got nominal and effective. I just didn't write nominal and
Not good enough.
it's not. I know. I need to lift my game.
When you have a teacher comes and we accidentally say something like that, we're going to be like,
I'd be like, excuse me?
Well, I stir you girls up. You should be allowed to stir me up. So works both ways. All right. So we've been talking a bit about compounding interest, and compounding interest relates to what sort of sequence? Yeah, good. So compounding relates to geometric. So we know that it's going to, if we graph it, what's it going to look like? Yep, good. It's going to have a bit of a curve. All right, or like that, depending if we're increasing or decreasing. Anyone confused about what I'm talking about?
No.
Cool. Okay, so when we are calculating compound interest, what's the difference between compound and simple when we calculate them? Sorry, what was that?
How did I explain it? Like, you've got earned interest, which is like a money or difference, and then it's like compounded from that.
Yep, good. So when we're doing compound, I know what you're trying to say. When we're doing compound interest, we calculate the interest on each previous value. So on what interest we've occurred and what we've also got in the principal. And then for the next one, we do with that interest and the principal, then that interest and the principal. Whereas simple interest, we calculate how much interest only from the principal, and then we just keep adding that same amount. Does that make sense? Cool. So today what we're looking at is we're looking at compounding and obviously making the interest on each term, but we are looking at how a same rate can earn more or less interest depending on how often it is compounded. So some questions we've had yearly, some have been quarterly, some have been monthly. So depending on what it is, we've worked out that our rate will change a little bit, and then depending on what rate we have, will determine how much interest we earn. So that's what we're looking at today. Hopefully it will become a little bit clearer as we go through it. So this first little bit might be a little, you might be a little bit confused with a few definitions, but when we go through the example, especially this bit here, if I'm just wiping, hopefully it will be a little bit clearer. So, generally interest rates are calculated annually. Not always, but a lot of the time. We are also usually given the interest rate as per annum, which means yearly. We know we don't always calculate it as yearly, but it is usually given as yearly. The interest rate that is given, which is usually yearly, is called the nominal interest rate. And what that means is this is it's the nominated interest rate. This is the interest rate that's being nominated to compound with. All right, that's what we've been given. That's what we've been told. When we calculate a yearly interest rate that is compounded more than once a year, such as we can have monthly, we can have quarterly, we might have weekly, we might have fortnightly, we might have 6 monthly, could be anything. All right. The amount of interest we earn changes. Even though we still have the same interest rate. The time between which compound interest is calculated is called the compounding period. So if we're talking about monthly, between when it was calculated last and when it's calculated next, that period is the compounding period. Any questions? Cool. All right. So what we're going to have a look at is this table and how things can change a little bit depending on how we're calculating. So we've got fill in the table by calculating the amount of interest that is earned over a year, depending on the compounding period. So we've got an investment of $5,000. So we've walked up to the bank and said, here's $5,000. And the bank has said it's going to be 4.8% per year, per annum. All right, so that's our rate, that's our principal. Okay, and they've given us 3 options. They said you can compound it yearly, so per annum. You can compound it per quarter, or you can compound it per month. All right, they're the 3 options the bank has given us. So what's going to be the best option for us? These percentage rates are all different because we've had to calculate what we're multiplying by or what we're compounding by. So we've got 4.8% per annum, so that's why that one's 4.8. This one is per quarter, so we had to go 4.8 divided by 4 to see what we are calculating the interest rate at each quarter. Making sense? And then this one is per month, so it must be 4.8 over. Perfect. So that's how we got those numbers. Because if we were doing 4.8 for all of them, obviously if we do it, the more we do it, it's going to increase a lot. Okay? So it's the same rate, just at different intervals. All right. So if we were doing this first one, so this is a month, so month 0 is when we walked into the bank. If it's calculated per annum, when's the first time it's going to be earn interest?
At the 12.
Yep, at the 12. So the first time we're going to earn interest on this one is 12 months later. So to be able to work this out, how do we work this out? Nope. All right, so we need to work out what 5.8, can't even read, 4.8% of 5,000 is, and that's how much interest we're going to get. So how would we work that out? How do we work out 4.8 of 5,000?
4.8 over 100 times.
Yep. Yep. So put that into your calculator, and this is going to tell us how much interest we will have earned. Is this making sense? What we're
Then put
doing?
it in 12.
Yep, put it in 12. Pardon me. So it will tell us how much interest we have earned. We need to plus that to our original. And the last bit is saying total amount of interest earned. So in 12 months we've earned $240. Interest. So we have in our account 5,240, but we put the 5,000 in there. So we've still got that, but we've earned 240. Just from being like, yeah, you sit there and you be good money, you build for me, you increase. Okay, if we're looking at the next one, which is per quarter, what month is it going to be calculated in? Well, the first time it's going to be calculated. It's going to be in 3. Yep.
Wait, oh, right, this is 4 times.
Yep, 4 times a year. 12 divided by 4 is 3. And then the next time it will be in the 6. The next time it will be in the 9th. And the last one will be in the 12th. All right, if we're getting confused about what I've done here, anyone lost with that? Everyone's all right? It's just a geometric sequence, what we've been doing with our recursion. So it'd be this. So if we're using this one, so our ratio would be 1.2. That's what we're going up by. Making sense? And we're just multiplying that by our principal. That's the percent, so we're just going to put that over 100. So otherwise we'll end up with something massive. Is it making sense what we're doing? Yep. Sorry? Because that's in percent. Percent means over 100. Making sense? Yep. Oops. So we should be getting anyone confused about where we're getting those answers from? All good? Yep.
Why is it plus sign at the end?
Oh, because we need to put where we're starting. So that would be for our next term, and then for our next one we'd have,
Oh, wait, no, I got that one.
this is if we're using recursion.
So you need to do that.
You don't know, you don't have to. I was just saying if you're using recursion, if you were looking at how
I
this
got
relates.
different answers.
So that's the sum you used to.
Because don't you just use the same 5,000? Or are you getting interest on
No, it's compound.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's geometric,
Yeah.
not linear.
Oh, so that's it.
So every time we multiply this, we need to multiply it by the previous term. Does that make sense? So we need to multiply the next one by this number because that was the previous term.
And plus 5,000.
Yes. This bit calculates
Oh, yes.
the interest and then we need to add it to our principal. Is that making sense? Yep, so then the next one, we would have 1.2 over 100 by, so that equaled 5120.72, so that would have that number in it. Is that making sense? Yep. You won't have to fill out a table like this, we're just going through it so we can see what happens with different rates and what happens when we compound them differently. That's why we're going through this. Okay, so after a year, so in the 12th month, in our bank we have $5,244.35. And so how much interest have we earned there over a year? Yep, $244.35 is what we've earned. Okay, and this next one, it's calculated per month. So we need them for all the months. So we would be going, in my pink pen, what am I doing? 0.4 over 100 multiplied by the previous term plus our principal. So that's the previous term, that one. And that one's the principal. Even though they're the same number at the moment, when we go to the next term, so we put this in and it comes up as 5020. Yep. So then we go to do the next one. This number comes in here. Is that making sense? Yep. And then for the next one, this number comes in here. That's the only thing that changes, is that number in there, and it's just the previous term. Is that making sense? Because this is our recursion equation, our RVN plus V0. which is what our recursion was. We don't have to use recursion, I'm just telling you that's how we got it. That's where it came from.
But I don't know what I've done, but the one where you had 5,040,
Yep.
I've got 5,000.
And 20?
Yeah.
That's what I got. But it didn't make sense. Mine keeps doing that too.
We divided by.
Do you do that now? Is that supposed to? Why does it still look so clean?
Hey, let me make sure I don't skip the number. I just copied them off the textbook, let me check.
Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, I might have skipped a number.
No,
Um,
Sunday, Monday.
Let me just check.
Yeah. I'm not sure I haven't had
Yep, I skipped a number. You girls are right, I skipped a number. Think? Oh no. Okay. No, 5020, 5040, 5060.
If you add it to the one before, then it works. But if you add it to the principal, then.
Yeah, add it to the one before.
So when you adding on the.
Cover that.
Oh, I get what you mean. Now you add it to the one. So you have to do it all in a row.
Has your toe grown back?
A little bit.
Why is that what you're thinking?
Oh, okay.
Because she just like did like a foot thing on the floor.
Yeah, mine's still getting that.
0.4 by 100 by. Ooh.
I was like fully making you and then 502. Maybe you just and just make it the other. If you tell parents or something. I was like, you're just going to do it.
Can we go?
You have any tickets and sometimes you just like on to the phone. And you just like on to the phone and then you like mail these like this weird. That's how you got it. It's funny. And you like have your hair cut short.
Oh,
Hang on.
did you get 5 or 6? Yeah, no, I keep getting like different decimal places.
So it should be 0.
You didn't.
0. 100. It's 20. Plus that to 5,000. 5,020. 0.4 divided by 100. Times 5020.
What time does Billy start?
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, my mistake. That one is also the previous term.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My mistake.
What?
Oh, do you have to add the previous one?
Yes, previous term, not the principal. Because that's what we're going to add it onto, if that makes sense. My mistake. Sorry, girls.
Wait, what do you mean with the added?
Because this bit only tells us how much interest we've earned. We need to add it to what we've got to find out how much is in our account.
So you just pop
Yeah, for all of it.
Next. No, not next. One after.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then last period.
Anyone really confused?
Oh my god. Sorry.
No, we're okay? Because I did stuff up.
Okay.
We're okay? Yep. You girls down the front, all good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Does that mean all the other ones are wrong?
No, these ones are right because I copied them straight off the textbook
So
onto my
5, 1,
notes.
2, 1, I got for that.
For this one, 5.
I got 5080.
Yeah, 5080.48.
I still got it wrong. Did you change it to? Yeah.
Was it 48? Yeah.
5080.24.
5100.80. 5121.21.
Yeah, 0.24.
51.
I'm gonna get the same answer again. I did the decimals. I've been doing decimals.
Point
I
69.
didn't get it right.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten it.
Okay, what have we got?
5121.
Which one?
The next one. After 4.
After 4.
Maybe it's 4, sorry.
Okay, so
Oh, I know I've done.
you know what you've done? Okay, cool. Anyone else look at
Oh,
it?
I
You've done something wrong? Know what you've done?
So each time you add it, you have to add.
Add it to the previous term, not the principal. Because we're going off the previous term. This one? So rate over 100 by previous term plus previous term.
I've done 1.2 divided by 100. That's why I'm
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So you did?
Yes. So
Woo.
why am I so
Do you want that?
Me too. Thank you.
What are we up to?
I should
5,
put my little stronger in there.
162.26.
Yeah.
Okay, once we get down to the bottom, we end up with 5245.35. So the amount of interest we've accumulated is $245.35.
How strict are they on decimal places on the exam?
This will be always 2,
So
unless it says to the nearest dollar.
what if I get 37.37 instead of 35?
Then you'll be wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is that little r over 100 plus times that?
Yep.
Is that for the months and the year one as well?
Yes. Yeah. You probably won't be asked to fill in a table like this. We've just gone through this so we can see that when we calculate something at the same interest rate, so this was all at 4.8% per annum, but they're calculated at different times. So one's yearly, one's quarterly, one's monthly. Depending on how it's calculated, we will earn a different amount of interest. So the more often your compound interest is calculated, the higher interest you're going to accumulate. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Can I move down? Yep. Where's my mouse? Okay, so which one earned the most interest? We had the monthly. Oops. The monthly earned the most.
Do you have to say by how much?
No, it just asks which one. All those numbers are in your textbook as well. If you want to continue filling them in or making sure that yours are right, you can check them up there, on there. So what this means, what we've found out from doing this long thing, can I rub that out? Yep. Okay, so what we found out from doing that little, well, wasn't little, that big thing, that when we compound interest more frequently, we are increasing our investment by a higher percent. What percent we are actually calculating it by is called the, let me get the word right, effective interest rate. So what this means is we had a nominal rate of 4.8% per year. Now technically, if we're calculating something by 4.8%, it should give us the same answer, yeah? But we just saw before that depending on when we calculate it, we get different answers, even though we've divided this up by how many times we compound it per year. Does that make sense? So we did it by 1.2, we earned more. When we did it by 0.4, we still earned more because we compounded them at different intervals. So what we are actually calculating them by is called the effective interest rate. So if we were then looking at our monthly, so if we went back and looked at those monthly numbers and, okay, we earned more money when we compounded it monthly, so what are we actually increasing it by? Because it's not 4.8% per year. It is, that's what it is, that's our nominal rate, but what are we actually going up by? Does that make sense? And that's what we call the effective interest rate. So, to find the effective interest rate, this is a formula we're going to use, and it's not as complicated as it looks. There's only two numbers you need to sub in. So, R is the nominal interest rate per annum. That's the interest rate you're going to get in your question. Investing money at 4.8% per year, find the effective interest rate. N is the number of times the interest compounds per year. If it's compounding monthly, N is going to be 12. For compounding quarterly, N is going to be 4. For compounding weekly, N is going to be 52. Does this make sense? Cool. So when you're asked to find the effective interest rate, this is the formula we're going to use. Can do it on calculator too, but we're going to go through an example of not using the calculator first. Okay, so Brooke would like to borrow $20,000. She's deciding between two loan options. Option A is 5.9% per annum, compounding weekly. And option B is 6% per annum, compounding quarterly. So they've both got different interest rates. So these are the nominal interest rates, and they're both being compounded differently. So what we need to work out is we need to work out the effective interest rate so that we can compare them. Does that make sense? Because without the effective interest rate, we are just looking at these ones. We're looking at the nominal rates, and we can't really compare them when they're done differently unless we actually do all the calculations for 5, 10 years or whatever, however long she wants to borrow the money for. So, by calculating the effective interest rate, we're going to be able to find which one's the lowest, because she's borrowing, so she wants a low interest rate. If she was investing, she wants a high interest rate. So she's borrowing, she wants a low interest rate. So by finding the effective interest rate, we can find which one is the lowest, and therefore the best for Brooke. Does that make sense? Cool. All right, so let's do option A over here, and we'll do option B over here. Okay, so option A, using our formula, we've got 1 plus R over N over 100 to the power of N, take 1 times 100. So that's our formula. So for A, our nominal rate is 5.95. And N is we're compounding weekly. So how many weeks in a year? 52. So N is going to be 52. Any questions? All right. So then we put them in. 1 plus 5.95 over 52 over 100 to the power of 52, take away 1, times 100. If you put that into your calculator, that should work with those. Make sure you've got those brackets. So
Is it times 100 or 100%?
times 100.
So to the power of 52? Or is
Yes, to the power of 52. What did we get? Yep, perfect. So the effective interest rate for this is 6.13%. Did anyone get a different number?
Why are EFF?
Are effective.
Oh, okay.
Okay, option B, same thing, but we've got a different R and a different N. So still using the same formula. Oops, our R is 6 and our N is 4. So we put that in. 1 plus 6 on 4 on 100 to the power of 4. Take 1 times 100. And what did we get for this one? Yeah, cool. Anyone knock at 6.14 when we round?
Yeah, I do.
You didn't? Okay, you put in the wrong. Okay, how do you do it?